presented by Dano's Seasoning. Yum Yum Getches.
What's going on, everybody? I am one of two hosts here for the Sunbelt Syndicate. Dominick TJ here with my co-host, TJ Corman, and we've got a little Dano's Seasoning. I realize it's a little far away, so I'll grab it down and tell you that I tried the spicy one. Is that the one I have? Yes, I did grab the correct one. There is 3 different kinds. I grabbed the spicy one the other day. I put it on a wrap with some turkey, some pepper jack, some provolone, a little bit of ranch dressing. Got to have the ranch, right? We're in the South, TJ, right? We got to have the ranch.
Absolutely.
I put heavy dose of the spicy. I won't lie to you. I put a heavy dose, and I was not disappointed. It's got the kick without being like too much, right? Wasn't burning my mouth, but it was a spice that went perfect with the turkey and the ranch and the cheese. So check this out. Again, promo code below, DAWGGOS, DAWGGOS. You could enter that at danos.com on your order of some Dano's Seasoning. Highly recommend now that I've tried it. And, hey, goes to supporting us dogs out here as we try and provide you with some good quality football coverage. Speaking of football coverage, we are coming to you as part of the Dogs Media Network. Got a lot of shows almost every day of the week, I think we have covered now. So be sure to check out our other offerings as well. TJ and I will focus on some Sunbelt stuff, and then we'll get into some fun stuff at the end as well. TJ, tell the fine people what you were making tonight as you obviously do your own little grilling on the side with thick thighs and large fries. I love the name.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, you showed me this thing. I don't know if it's still sitting there. You could show it again, but this sounded fantastic.
Well, it's a little bit nibbled on now, so maybe let's not do that. Maybe let's not do it now. But no, I made some air fried salmon, and then this real cool recipe I found from a guy that I follow on LinkedIn, on TikTok. And it was a honey butter Cajun corn on the cob in the air fryer. So cool little recipe. Lots of honey, lots of butter, some Old Bay, some ranch seasoning. It was absolutely delicious. I'll post the directions on my website here in just a little while and on my Instagram as well. But you guys certainly need to check it out. Easy 15, 20-minute recipe, 15, 20-minute idea. If you're looking for something, a nice side to go with, some grilled meats or really any side. Nice to go with, any food that you've got going on. So super easy, super quick, and something the whole family will enjoy. So. Absolutely. Well, it sounded delicious. I'm now hungry. All I had for dinner was a bowl of cereal. So that sounds way better. My stuff during the week is tame compared to what you get into. So I wanted you to share that with well, I also work from home 3 days a week. So I have time. So true.
Well, that's a nice thing to have. So TJ, we will start as we traditionally do with our clip breakdown. Well, your clip breakdown. I'm not really a part of this.
It's us. Hey, we're a team, man. We're a team.
I'll intro it for you. How about that? So the first clip comes from Wake Forest versus ODU. As we both spoke of last week, we thought this might not be much of a game. With what we thought about ODU. Actually, no, I think we rectified that. Did we not correct ourselves a little bit after that Louisiana game?
We did. We thought ODU played really well against Louisiana, and I wasn't sure about Wake Forest. I know Sam Hartman had transferred out, so I wasn't sure how well they do. So I was kind of on the fence about whether or not we should even be excited about this game, but it turns out we very much should have been. It came down to the wire. Was so disappointed in ODU for letting it slip away. But it was a really great game, and ODU jumped out to a huge lead in that first half. But unfortunately, offense couldn't get anything going in the second half and really gave Wake Forest a chance to come back. So, but great game.
Yeah, it was fun to watch back. I think we were talking about, you got to see a little bit of it live. I was at, tailgating or at the game where I didn't get to see it until I got home the next day. But it was fun to watch. It was disappointing, obviously, in that second half, but you're right. Sure. So this one specifically, here's in the first quarter. It's a third down play. I think I have this on full screen. Yes. So we'll watch this once in full speed, and then we'll slow it down, and I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, great play. So, I mean, they've got a lot of guys up at the line of scrimmage. They're going to run a TE, a tackle in stunt on that left side, and it really throws off the timing of that quarterback. I don't think the offensive lineman really saw the stunt coming right away, and it caused them confusion. And they were able to get a hand on the ball, get a hand on the quarterback as he was letting it go, and it was just great pressure, great call up front. Especially for a third down with that kind of down and distance. I mean, it should have been could have been a hold or a tripping on 72 because he just completely gets mauled over. But regardless of that, coverage was tight all the way around. I mean, he wouldn't have had a window to throw that into. So it really honestly was. I mean, they were in cover 2 man. ODU was. Everybody looked like they were locked up. Safeties were over the top for any help. It really was not a window to throw this ball in. I mean, you'll see, which I think is a great call for third and medium, because you've got press coverage right at the line of scrimmage. So you're not giving any free releases or any free inside, any work to those receivers. But then you've also got help deep if you get beat. So it's a really great call by the defensive coordinator, but it also helps to have some dogs up front. To be able to get to that quarterback. So really good play by their defensive line.
Absolutely. Great breakdown there. We'll jump into the next one, which comes from what we thought was going to be the best game going into the weekend. And as far as the score goes, it lived up to expectation. It was a close one.
Sure.
I don't know if it was quite the score fest some might have thought. Well, it wasn't going to be a score fest. That's a terrible way to describe what we thought this game was going to be. But I think we were.
Right, well, we didn't think 16-14. That's for sure.
Correct. That's a good way to say it. Yeah, we probably thought both teams might be up in the 20s with some good powered offenses. So this one specifically has Troy on a 3rd and 8 just inside the red zone here. We'll again play this in full speed to start with. Was a 5 wide set here?
Yeah, and JMU's doing too much at the snap of the ball. I mean, I don't know what. I mean, it's 3rd and 8. It's sometimes, you can get too cute. You've got linebackers walked up in the A gap. The outside linebacker here, he never reroutes the slot receiver to the bottom of the screen, never gets a hand on him. And it's just the plays. I mean, it's a blown. I don't know that it's so much a blown coverage as just they just got beat. It just wasn't a good call versus 5 wide. I don't know who you think you're fooling when you've got, 6 people at the line of scrimmage. I mean, I don't know what you're doing. So not a good play call, trying to get cute down in the goal line or down in the red zone defensively. And nobody, like I said, nobody gets a hand on. And also, too, we talked about this before we went on air. Yeah. That top side slot guy, he actually makes this thing go. He's holding that. That safety's eyes are with that number 3 receiver to the bottom or top of the screen. And that causes 7 to be wide open at the bottom of the screen. So it just – great call by Troy, but terrible defense. I mean, it's just awful. Again, trying to be cute. I mean, why are you running a double A gap or looking like you're going to run a double A gap blitz on 3rd and 8 in the red zone when you against 5 wide? That just makes no sense at all.
Let me ask you a question. If they had 4 wide and 1 running back beside the quarterback, I know we didn't talk about this beforehand, so I'm just throwing this right at you, but does that change your thought process on what this defensive look was? Like, could they have been keen on a possible run to set up the possibility that they're going to go for it on 4th down thereafter if they got it within 4th and manageable, 4th and 1, 4th and 2 type of scenario maybe? Or I know that's not what happened.
No. Right. Well, I say no. I would because even if you're going 4 wide and you've got 4 verticals called with 4 wide, your 2 slot guys are always going to be your read. And that safety, that middle of the field safety in cover 3 is always going to be the read for the quarterback. If he's a good quarterback, he's almost never going to be wrong on this play. I scored most of my touchdowns in college off of this play because it's impossible to get it wrong if you've got a competent quarterback. And in this scenario, again, like I said, there's no running back in the backfield. But even if there was a running back in the backfield against this coverage, if those 2 outside linebackers, maybe I think there may be 2. One's an outside linebacker, one's a nickel. If they don't reroute those slot guys, you're basically just giving up a touchdown because there's no way that safety can't make the right decision. If the quarterback looks him off right, he's going to go left. And so one of the slot guys are going to be open no matter what against cover 3. 4 verticals against cover 3 is almost 100% of the time going to work if executed properly, especially against this, because there is nobody that gets any contact on any receiver and reroutes anybody on these after the line of scrimmage. So it's free releases against cover 3. It's basically 2-on-1. You're playing 7-on-7. I mean, it's impossible. I know I said a lot of words right there, but easy touchdown.
Some of them. I understood some of them.
Long story short is it translates to an easy 6 for
there you go.
Troy.
It's exactly what it did. Now, unfortunately for them, that was a little bit earlier in the game. They didn't score much after that, but you know, they kept JMU in check for the most part, and we'll jump into this.
They both kept each other in check for the most part.
I mean, they did, yeah.
You know, 16-14 game. That's. I mean, if you're a defensive guy, I'm not, but if you're a defensive guy, that's the kind of game you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so this one comes from Louisiana and UAB. I think a game that we both thought probably would have been closer. I think we both picked the Cajuns, though, did we not?
Yeah, we both picked the Cajuns. I didn't think UAB had enough, especially defensively. Louisiana's firepower is too much. They've got a quarterback who's very mobile. Running back is great, and you'll actually see during this play the influence of that running game. As you roll the clip, the influence of that run game is what causes this play to be wide open. You're going to get hard run action to the left, and that backside receiver on that crosser route is almost open immediately because of the hard play action. And this tells me, and I didn't get a chance to look at this game, but this is midway through the third quarter. What the action of those linebackers tell me is that they fear that run, which means Louisiana has been killing them with the run the entire, first half and into that third quarter, enough that they react, not just a step. I mean, if you run this play again, look at those linebackers. Their first few steps, I mean, they're going hard, to that. And I mean, there's just it's easy vacancy across the field. So, if you look at those two linebackers right here, I mean, hard reaction up front. And, and we talked about this too, ball placement. If that quarterback puts that on his upfield shoulder, he's still running. He hits his head on the goalpost. So, great call. Like I said, shout out to Louisiana's run game, because that run game, you can tell how much it influenced that play action pass, because those linebackers were nowhere near being able to make a play for that, on that pass play. So excellent call, excellent execution, great play fake. Just could have been a little bit better throw.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking that same thing mainly when I'm watching is like just over the shoulder, man. And like you said before, he would have been gone all the way to the end zone. If I'm the receiver,
I'm like, man, great throw, great call. I appreciate all of that. But just put that thing on my upfield shoulder, man. Let me run under it and let's go get 6.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get into, let's see if I want to pull up how this scoreboard is. All right. Well, we got East Carolina versus App State. We'll talk about that one first. Let's see the final score in that one off the top of my head. I didn't remember. 43-20.
Yeah, 43.
So I know you caught that one. If you want to start off talking about what you saw there that you liked, didn't like, or just overall what you thought about that game.
Yeah, we let some big plays get away from us on defense. That seems to be the theme for us this year so far. I know we're only 3 games into the season, but we're letting some big plays get away from, especially in the run game, missing a lot of tackles up front. The game was a lot closer than the score dictates, or the score will tell you. We had a great third quarter, but overall, and also shout out to Noel. I mean, 193 rushing yards is insane.
Classic.
I think he broke his previous record. You got some sound over here.
Ever is anticipated here at Kid Brewer Stadium today.
He broke his record of 171 initially, which was his, I think, personal record, and then he went and, just went nuts against ECU. So shout out to him. Really, really great game. Aguilar had a great game. Had a couple mishaps, but overall, like I said, defensively is where we really need to start putting our foot on people's necks and taking some things away. We let some big plays happen for us in the passing game, and also, like I said, in the run game, they were able to get some things going. ECU was, but overall, a win is a win. Like I said here, I mean, just missed tackle. You got to be able to come up and make that tackle. We got to be able to depend on you in that situation. So, but like I said, lots of things to be proud of in this regard. I mean, look at this. This is insane. Look at Noel.
Yeah.
I mean,
second
gets
play
to
of the game,
edge.
by the way.
Outside-
Second play of the game.
Yeah. Well, and two, the thing with App State is every single team we know that we play against, they know we're going to run that outside zone. They know it's coming. They know it's coming, and there's absolutely nothing they can do about it because there's so many lanes to cut back, and that's why I love the zone read play so much. And we ran it. Kevin Richardson was great. He's had set some school records. Devin Moore came after him and was really good. We had Devin Radford, a bunch of different guys that played running back for us, and that zone read is the best play as far as running the ball in college football, really in any level of football, because you're giving the option at this point you're giving the option to the running back. Pick a hole wherever you see daylight, go play football. And you don't, you make it easy. Again, silly mistakes. That ball should have never been thrown.
Yeah.
Throw that thing away. Don't try to force it. But he's a young guy, right? He'll grow. It's growing pains. And again, I like what I see from him so far. But it's those kinds of things that'll get you beat against a really good team. So we got to clean that stuff up. But like I said, win is a win.
Yeah. And this is a little bit of a last minute change here for ECU. This is not the quarterback that had played the vast majority of their snaps throughout the season so far. And I think this guy's certainly a little bit better of a thrower than the other option that they had. So that was a little bit of a wrinkle that maybe I'm sure App was essentially prepared for, but maybe just didn't expect him to be so accurate or successful. Yeah. So it was a little bit of a surprise once the defense did make adjustments. I was talking to someone in the first half and saying, defense isn't bleeding here, but it's not as good as we would think or hope. And they definitely made some adjustments and tightened things up and got better as the game went on. And obviously with the score the way it was, that was pretty evident. Speaking of a game, let me see if I can get this one down here. There we go. I'm going to switch to a different tab here as we talk about Georgia Southern.
Yeah. Wisconsin actually put up a pretty decent fight.
Yeah, they did. Absolutely did. Honestly, let's see. I'll start off talking about this one because it was a pretty good defensive battle early. Scoreless in the first quarter. 2 quick scores by each team in the second quarter, and then still tied at the half, 7-7.
Right.
So very winnable game for both teams at that point. Georgia Southern would actually go up 14-7, but after that, Wisconsin had 28 consecutive points, caused partly in the 6 turnovers that Georgia Southern ended up having. You can't win a game when you have the ball.
I was going to say that'll do it.
Yeah. Brent didn't have his best game, and a team like this, when you're on the road at a Big Ten opponent, you got to have one of your better games. He had some great plays. I'm not saying that. You just see one there to Burgess, who's one of the best receivers in the conference. But very tough to win a game when you turn the ball over 6 times, and Brent, I think, had 3 or 4 of those all by himself there. So definitely something they need to clean up a little bit. I was really impressed with this kid here. I'm going blank on his name. Hopefully they zoom in there. There he goes. OJ Arnold. Yeah, very impressed with that kid. Big kid, solid back right there. He looks like he's going to throw the ball for a touchdown. Instead,
I thought he was
into the end zone. Yeah, absolutely. Did you get a chance to see some of this? I know it's a Big Ten network. Not sure if you get that, but
I do get it. I wasn't. Yeah, I did. I do get it. I wasn't watching. I was keeping up with the scores, and I was watching, highlights and stuff like that. I did see the 6 turnovers. It's a killer because, if you're Georgia Southern, you can win this game. This was a very winnable game for you. Any way you look at it, it was winnable. And to really, shoot yourself in the foot, not one or once or twice, but 6 times, and still, only come away, down 14-35, this game, they should have scored 50 on them with 6 turnovers, Georgia Southern had every chance in the book to win this game, and they just, for lack of better terms, just threw it away. Yeah. No pun intended.
Yeah, they literally threw it away a few times, I think.
Right.
So next game we'll talk about here was the one we did a little clip on already, but this Wake Forest versus ODU game, again, we did speak on this a little bit, but This one, 17-0 at the half. Could have been 20-0 if the kicker makes the kick. He actually missed two field goals on the day.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So think about how close of a game that is there if he makes both of those. Harvey had a great first half. Wilson's deep ball was working, and then it kind of just didn't work in the second half. I don't know if that was so much play calling or.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it was just, you get caught up. You jump out to an early lead, 17-0 at halftime, right? And you go in the locker room, and there's one or two things that happen. And from experience, we had experienced seniors on our team, and I'm reverting back to my App State days, going down and playing Michigan. You jump out on a team like that you shouldn't be winning or shouldn't be beating. And there's two things that happen. First thing is you go in and you start feeling yourself. And it's these guys can't play with us. We're giving them everything they want. They're not prepared for us. And then you go in and you kind of lax at halftime. You don't make any adjustments, which it looks like ODU did not do. And then, right. That other school of thought is too, just the opposite of that is these guys are going to give us their best shot. We played at Michigan. We knew that first 8 minutes of that third quarter, we're going to get everything they had. They were going to empty the kitchen sink on us, and we were able to withstand it. ODU was not. Wake Forest came back, like I said, 13 points immediately in the third quarter, and then fourth quarter just really put it away. So I think, ODU scores nothing in the fourth quarter at all, and still only loses by 3 points. It's a heartbreaker, man. It's a heartbreaker.
Yeah. It really is. Shout out to Logan Willis says, "What's up, fellas?" TJ, I know you don't know Logan personally. I don't know him greatly, but he does attend the University of North Carolina, so he's just down the road here and provides some coverage for both them and Virginia Tech, actually. I think he went to a Virginia Tech game recently as well. And then we've got Hunter chiming in. National champ talk. 3-time national champ. Put some respect on that name, man. Come on.
Put some respect on me, man. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. You got comments, you got questions, go ahead and share them with us. We'll try and put them up here, share those along with you guys. We'll jump into the next game we'll talk about here, which will be Tulane versus Southern Miss. A little bit of a rematch from last year. Yep. Tulane scores on the opening possession, but they slowed up after that. The Tulane front four, we've talked about this before, TJ. They were dominant
just
once
nasty.
Again.
They are nasty.
Yeah, and Southern Miss, honestly, on the opposite side of the ball, not disappointing in that. I mean, Tulane scores a lot of points, and they only scored 21 in this one. So if you keep Tulane to 21 points, you should have a chance to win. It was the offense that just couldn't keep up. There was a few missed tackles in the secondary by the Golden Eagles, but up front, no disappointment there on the front end of the defense. Again, just offensively, couldn't really get anything going. The front for the offense really just could not keep up with the front four defensively of Tulane, and that's not much of a shock, I guess. But I don't know. Did anything shock you in this one, or is this kind of where you expected this one to go?
I don't want to say shocked. I'm more disappointed in the output, and you touched on it, from Southern Miss's offense. When you play a game as well as Southern Miss did on defense, you expect your offense to at least come out and put up some points, and they did nothing of the sort. They looked abysmal pretty much all four quarters. Prime example here. Where's he throwing that ball? That's double coverage. There's no reason to throw that ball in that situation at all. Throw it away, live to play another down. That could have been way worse than it actually was. And like I said, in this situation, obviously, you know, Tulane, inside slant, he's got inside leverage. That's going to happen. But 21 points you give up, you expect your offense to at least, meet you halfway. And they did not.
Nope, certainly did not. That would do it for that one. So we will jump over to Georgia State and
another
Charlotte.
Cool thing, though, I don't like that blue Tulane has. That what are you doing? What is Tulane doing with that blue? I don't like it, man. You're the green wave. Be green. Like what? That blue it just throws me off. I don't. Just throwing that out there. Do something about that.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. What'd you think of Southern Miss's uniforms? Apparently, a lot of people don't like the white helmets that they were using there.
I like it. I thought it was a good look. That yellow and white. It's I know they're used to the black and yellow helmet tradition and that kind of thing. But listen, man, times change, people change, and it's not their forever helmet. But let them rock it out. I thought it was a good look.
Yeah, they've had fun with it. I think it looks sharp to me personally. But this one, absolutely. I'll be honest, I don't know that much about this game specifically. It looks like Darren Granger went off 466 yards, 3 total touchdowns. Just in case, I just covered this on the national podcast last night. We've got like 4 Sunbelt running backs in the top 5 or 6 of Division I college football. That's not Sunbelt rankings. That's not G5 rankings. That's throughout the entirety of college football. Nate Noel is number 2 in the country, only behind Estime of Notre Dame, who might be the best running back in the country. Then we've got Kamani Vidal from Troy. We'll cover this in a second, but Troy went for negative 12 yards against James Madison. He's still number 4 on the list, so that's an impressive feat. And then we've got Carroll from Georgia State, who was in this game, who's up there tied with Vidal. And then we actually can't really make a claim to this, but Amani Bailey, who's now at TCU, came from the Ragin' Cajuns. So if you include current and former Sunbelt running backs, we've got quite a few guys right up there in the top 5 or 6 in the country right now with how they're doing on the field. And we saw Carroll in this game here for Georgia State. Although, honestly, Jones outrushed him. He was the quarterback for Charlotte. Kind of surprising. He goes for 80 yards and a touchdown. But, looks like Georgia State jumped out to a 16-0 lead and the 17-0 lead in this one before Charlotte started to make a little bit of a comeback, huh?
Yeah, they didn't. Georgia State jumped out on them and didn't look back. To be quite honest, happy for Georgia State, happy for Coach Elliott. They just look good all the way around. Freaking Granger, man, 466 and 3 tuds. That's insane. I mean, he was all over the field. He was tossing the ball all over the field. Everybody was. I mean, what is happening right here? I mean, I don't even understand how he gets that wide open. He's just look. I mean, Nine's pissed off. I would be too. I mean, he's just running behind. I mean, he doesn't get more wide open than that. So I think Georgia State really played. And we talked about this too, I think, actually, in our first show. I don't know how Charlotte is not good. I don't understand that. Living where you live, there's so many schools in that Charlotte area that, they have the option to recruit from. And again, I get it. People want to go to the bigger schools and that happens, but there's enough talent there to go around that they should not be getting beat like a drum at home.
No, not at all. But what's funny is Georgia State probably felt right at home because there was nobody at this game in Charlotte, just like there's not that many people at the games at Georgia State. So it was like home field advantage.
Yeah.
That's a bad attempt at a joke at the Georgia State fans. Sorry for saying that. But honestly, this team looks like they could be one of the most impressive versions that they've had. So please go out and support the Panthers. They deserve it. There's only one way to get everybody to feel like it's a party atmosphere is to start creating that on your own. I know that there are some people that are trying to make it that way down there in Atlanta. It is tough. You've got a lot of UGA and Georgia Tech fans, but there's only one way to do it. It's just keep going, keep supporting. It's kind of what App State did long ago. I mean, that App State wasn't always 3-time national champs and beating Michigans of the world, right?
Right. We had to build this thing from the ground up, and we had to get the fan base to come. And they say, if you build a good program, people will come. And Georgia State's off to a 2-0 start, or 3-0 start now. Yep. And you guys have got to start coming out and participating, showing some love, giving this group. I mean, I know Coach Elliott will appreciate it. Look at him. There's my guy. He's crazy, man. He's got a problem. he's got issues, but I love him to death. And those guys deserve your support. So if you're Georgia State and you're watching, go out there and give them some love, man. They deserve it. 3-0 is huge, no matter what, how many games you're in. So
yeah, absolutely. And then in one of the bigger surprises, not the fact that South Alabama won, I would say, but
it's how they
scoreline. Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't know how much of this one you got to see. I went back and watched this whole friggin' game because it was that good. It was that dominant of a performance by the Jaguars. And honestly, going into the season, I think we thought that they would stand a chance. Now, they started off a little bit slower maybe than we had thought that they would. But this is exactly what I thought this team would look like before the season started. And I have heard the thoughts and the fact that OK State was not playing at full roster. You know, they had some guys injured. They had some guys
Doesn't
out.
matter. It's part of the game. Doesn't matter. You play with who's out there.
Yeah, you don't lose 33-7 just because a few guys aren't there.
Right. Alabama State was just better, and they were better in all phases. They were better in every aspect of this game. I mean,
South Alabama.
The three top categories. I'm sorry, yeah, South Alabama. My apologies.
You like Alabama State. You like those Hornets down there or something.
I do. South Alabama was they were dominant in every single aspect of this game, man. I mean, first of all, Lacey, 5 receptions, 104 yards, and 2 touchdowns. They only threw as a team for 152. So if I'm Oklahoma State, I'm like, let's cover. Why don't we cover that guy? Why don't we try covering that guy? Because he's the person that they're throwing the ball to. I mean, math is math, and my math is mathing right now. He had more. He had the bulk of the receiving yards. It's like, come on, guys. Like, let's start covering this guy and start putting a hat on him. I mean, he did 151 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns from Webb. All around dominant game, special teams, offense, defense. It just looked great for South Alabama. I don't know what Oklahoma State was doing. I don't know where they were. I know they had, like you said, some injuries. That does not equate to 33-7. South Alabama was better in every phase of football, and it was great to see for the Sun Belt.
Absolutely. Let's see. I don't think I have highlights for the next game that I was going to talk about.
Hey, look at that! Look at that! That's awesome.
Yeah. This game was like if you changed jerseys and told somebody one was a Power 5 and one wasn't. I know who I'm picking.
Right.
So, unbelievable. Oh, look, we got another comment here. Show us the rings. Do you even have those things? Are those like collecting dust somewhere? You could display them prominently.
They are. They're actually in the next room over in my. Well, it's I guess technically an attic. I'm going to make it a man cave here in a little while, but they're in storage. I don't even bring them out anymore. But I tell you what I'll do next time we go on air. I'll have them out here so you guys can take a look. I hadn't even thought about it. As a matter of fact, that just shows you how modest I am, right? It's not a me thing. It's a we thing.
There you go. You should wear them and then just rack them on the desk as we sit here and go over things.
Right. Get my Jordan on.
Have you seen the App State Open this year with Jerry Moore? Have you seen that clip?
I have not yet.
Oh man, he's got not only the national championship ring, he must have conference championship rings or something. He's got them all over his fingers, and he's just sitting there in a rocking chair. Oh, it's awesome. For those of us that are App State fans, I'm sure other people don't care as much. But the next game we were going to.
That's tough on you.
Yeah, exactly. We did talk about this. We did have the highlight to open the show with Louisiana and UAB. Basically, even though the score was only 20 points, this game wasn't ever close. It never felt like a threat. Statistically, I guess Zeno from UAB ends up kind of sort of better in the statistical category, but we know who the better quarterback was that night. And that would be Zion Chris, or I think I'm pronouncing that right. It looks like Zion, but I believe they're still going to pronounce that Zion. He is taken over. I don't think he's going to let go of the helm of the quarterback position anytime soon. Ben Woolridge was injured, and then Chris comes over, and obvious dual threat, probably more dangerous now with his feet, but as we saw in the clip,
that'll change over time. Yeah. Give him some time. That arm will start working. He'll be fine.
Yeah. So he just went off and started exploding there. As far as that game goes, really, they had 2 guys go over 100 yards. Chris was one of them. Just not much of a game. It's great to see Sunbelt take 2 straight games from UAB, Georgia Southern last week, and then the Cajuns took care of business this week. I'm just going to go ahead and take this off the screen so our beautiful faces can be featured more prominently here, TJ. Let's see. What other games did we have here? Well, yet again, Troy and James Madison. We kind of had that clip to start with that game on the NFL Network. That was a beautiful broadcast. I love the fact that some of the games get put on there. 16-14 defensive battle.
Yep.
Troy just couldn't get the running game going. If they could have supplemented a little bit of running game to help open up the passing game a little bit more.
Right. You can't be one-dimensional and win at our level of football. I mean, if all they got to do is prepare for one side of the ball or one aspect of your offense, then you might as well not even put on a uniform. It's not going to be close. And this game was actually closer than what we initially, like I said, dictated that it would be. Not that we thought this, it would be a runaway one way or the other, but we thought there would be more points scored. And Troy just could not, they couldn't take off. So, It is what it is. It happens for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Still a great game for people on the outside to be watching, I think. But yeah, they opened that up. And then as far as the games that we're not going to get into as much, because they just weren't that close and we didn't expect them to be. Most of them in a good way. So Texas State hammers Jackson State 77-34. Arkansas State gets in the win column for the first time, taking care of Stony Brook 31-7. Coastal Carolina easily disposes of Duquesne 66-7. Do you know where Duquesne is? A little trivia question there, TJ.
I actually do not. I know where they weren't Saturday, and they weren't on the field.
That's a good point.
I know where they were not.
Point. Maybe they left all their stuff in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's where Duquesne is located.
I did not know Duquesne was in. My wife might want to know that. She probably already knows that.
Yeah, or as my friend Seth says, DeQuincy, because he says that's how it looks when you see it. So it definitely does not look like Duquesne, I'd say.
No, it does not. I didn't know what it was. The first time it's probably 6 or 7 years ago. The first time I'd seen them, they were playing basketball, and I was like, "What?
Yes.
Who is Duquesne?" I was like, "Duquesne? Duquesne? What am I calling them?" And then I heard Duquesne, and I was like, "That is wrong. That is not how English works, and that is not the way that should be pronounced." I don't like letters, man. I don't like letters that don't make sense. I want them all to make sense. Yeah, silent ones. Get them out there. Get them out of there. I don't like quiet letters. Makes no sense at all.
This is one of those words or names, I guess, more specifically, that you show someone from another country and you're like, this is how you pronounce this. And they go, I don't want to learn. I'm done. That's not going to happen. I have no idea how you got that out of that word. But as far as jumping back into it, there was only one final score to go over. That was Texas A&M taking care of Monroe 47-3. Unfortunately, Monroe's win streak at 2 comes to an end. That not a big surprise. Unfortunately, they were also really outclassed in that one. Texas A&M is just a damn good football team. So unfortunately, that one did not go the Sun Belt's way. But we will jump into a little break here. Go to a Danos ad. As we mentioned before, go check out Danos, promo code below, DAWGGOS. We'll be right back with some looks and previews over this weekend's coming matchups.
Yum, yum, get you some. Yum, yum, get you some. Yum, yum, get you some. Yum, yum, get you some.
Danos Seasoning, food's favorite flavor.
Yum, yum, get you some.
I'm Joe Burrito, your favorite burrito. Whoa.
Joe, we all know you're the best.
What?
You can always do better.
What you got?
Try the new Danos Hot Chipotle.
Hey. Ooh, that's spicy. Yum, yum.
Yum, yum, get you some.
Yeah, Joe Burrito wouldn't stand a chance in my house. I can promise you that.
Yeah, that's probably how that wrap felt when I ate it the other day with some
probably
Danos on there. Maybe I should mix the Chipotle with the spicy. I bet that'd be a nice combination.
Yeah, a little spicy Chipotle. Or you can make yourself your own spicy ranch. Get you some Hidden Valley. Take your little Chipotle, make some Chipotle ranch, and put that over. Put that over some fries. You might be onto something.
Yeah, because I actually had some fries the other night. I won't say which restaurant, Burger King, that were not that tasty, and that would have really hit the spot to spice some things up. Yeah. So
absolutely, imagine that on a grilled chicken sandwich. A little bit of Cajun, a little bit of Cajun, little ranch on some tomato, lettuce. Might a nice little brioche bun. Could be winning.
We talked about this, me coming over there and doing something with this food thing, and now it's got to come true now.
I got a lot of ideas up here, man. One of my favorite things in the world is sandwiches. Burgers, sandwiches, anything between some bread, I can make it happen.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
We had this conversation earlier today. Actually, when I was in physical therapy earlier today. I don't know whether a hot dog is a sandwich or if it's a sub. But if it's a sub, is a sub also classified as a sandwich? Because so what are we doing?
So I've heard the term before, sub sandwich. You want to go get a sub sandwich?
Right.
I would classify a sub as a sandwich personally. I think I would.
So then a hot dog has to be a sandwich. Because if a hot dog is certainly not a burger.
No, it's definitely not a burger. Although...
And they can't have a category by themselves.
Joey Chestnut probably thinks that they should have a category by themselves.
He probably does. But I can tell you what I have done to a hot dog bun. I have taken a hot dog bun, split it open, and put lettuce, tomato, ham, and cheese in it.
Yep.
So is it a sub or is it a sandwich? What are we doing?
Have you ever put mayonnaise on a hot dog?
I've never done that, and I don't think I want. I don't think I want to do that.
That's a real Southern thing, man. Come on, you got to join in on the
listen, I must not be that Southern. Mayonnaise on a hot dog? I think I'm cool on that.
Well, I will tell you this: I don't put it. It doesn't just get mayonnaise. You got other condiments.
Well, sure, you ketchup and chili and those kinds of things. But I don't know, man. Mayonnaise, and also too, I like my hot dogs dressed all the way up. So there's slaw, there's chili. There's mustard, ketchup, onions, relish, the whole deal. So I've got mayo in my slaw anyway. So technically, I guess I have had mayonnaise on a hot dog.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just not, that's just not going to be a main condiment for me. That won't
Also, what's your mayonnaise of choice? Sorry, we're getting off on a food thing for everyone who doesn't care, but this is great. So mayonnaise of choice. Down here in the South, what is it?
My family's always used Duke's. We've always used Duke's mayonnaise, but I'm not mad at Hellman's. I know what I won't use, and that's any off-brand mayonnaise. And I'm not using, what is that? Blue Plate. I don't like Blue Plate.
Is there thick. One that's like, it's not Miracle Whip? That's wrong, right? Or is that the company?
No, it is Miracle Whip, and Miracle Whip is not mayonnaise.
That's definitely not
Miracle
mayonnaise.
Whip is not mayonnaise. No,
got you.
It's
okay,
not.
but
Whoever
we
says
agree.
it is, yes.
Yeah, Duke's is the only. Well, I mean, I'm not saying I won't use other mayonnaise, but Duke's is definitely up here. You're right.
Yes,
up
top
here.
tier.
Everybody else.
Duke's is top tier.
Let's see if we got 2 comments. Let's see if they're talking about the mayonnaise.
Probably so.
All right. We got Meg chiming in. No, hot dogs aren't a sandwich.
Okay, so then Meg, what is a hot dog then? So what is it? Because hot dogs can't have they're not that special. They don't get their own category. So if it's not a hot dog or if it's not a sandwich, then you tell us what it is.
That's a good point. You really can't classify it if it's not a sandwich.
Right. So if it's not a sandwich, then what? Duke's. Yeah,
Neil, we agree with you, Neil. Great call.
Yeah.
Great call. He also says hot dogs stand alone.
Hot dogs stand alone. How? How are we doing? Hot dogs can't stand. They're not. They don't get their own category. Yeah. But I guess to each their own, I suppose.
I mean, the hot dog meat is with other meat, and the hot dog buns are with other buns. So, yeah, I guess you're right. They can't really have their own category because they're included with all the other stuff when they're individually separated. So.
And you can take a hot dog bun and make a mini sub out of it.
True. It can perform as a sandwich when it's just the bun. So, yeah. I think I agree with you. It is a sandwich. It's a weird sandwich.
It is a weird sandwich.
But it's a sandwich.
Either way, it's going down my face hole. So we'll make that happen. So
yes, we just used the term face hole on the show tonight. Thank you for that, TJ. That is a picture we all wanted in our heads. So jumping back into the show and what we're really supposed to be covering. We have a Thursday night matchup, man. It's going to be fun. This one is a very underrated matchup. Georgia State, Coastal Carolina, ESPN coverage, 7:30 on Thursday night. We got some quarterbacks in this one. Darren Granger, Grayson McCall. I mean, as far as I know, they're both 100%. Well, I mean, you could speak on this. No one's really 100% anymore.
Right.
But they're both considered healthy going into this one, which is great because that's what we want to see as fans from the outside. Thoughts on this one? I can tell you that looking ahead before we started the show, this all-time series is tied at 3 apiece. So it's not like anyone's been dominating this series in this one. What do you think might happen here on Thursday night?
I'm thinking Georgia State. I think I'm gonna pull Georgia State's way, and the reason I say that is because I think Granger is, elite dual threat level quarterback. I think he's, his ability to, he threw for 400 plus yards last week or this past week. I have no reason to believe that even if he cuts that in half, that's still enough to win against Coastal. So I do I think it'll be a runaway? No, I think it's going to be very high scoring. I think both teams are going to be able to kind of get out on each other and take advantage. There'll be a lot of emotion early on, but I think overall I'm taking Georgia State to win this one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to lean towards the same thing. I think Coastal's still probably trying to figure out exactly how a few things are working here with their new coach, Tim Beck. I took Georgia State to finish like number 2 in the East last year, which looks really silly now, obviously. But this may be the season that they jump up there and surprise a bunch of people.
You were just ahead of your time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I thought Marshall may be that team this year, but I don't know. So far to me, Georgia State looks a little bit better, more well-rounded overall. I mean, they had some of the defensive lapses in that first game, but, that Rhode Island team, FCS-wise, pretty damn good. So it's not like they're facing a middling FCS team. This is a top-quality FCS team that they played. First game of the season. Defense is always a little bit loose, I feel like, in a lot of those matchups. So, maybe they've rectified that and they're moving in the right direction. In this one, let's see here. We'll just jump back out of this until I figure out which matchups are going where next. I guess we'll jump into, well, let's see. We got 2 more comments. Let's see if we've come back from Neil Po' Boy. It's shrimp and it's a sandwich. I consider a po' boy a sandwich. You don't think a po' boy is a sandwich?
A po' boy is a sub.
A sub sandwich.
Is a sub. Okay, sub. Okay, sub sandwich, that works. But then, so then what is a burger? Is just a burger? Because is a burger a sandwich?
I guess I would call a burger a sandwich. I would call a burger a sandwich before I'd ever call a hot dog a sandwich off the top of my head.
Oh, absolutely.
So I guess he is a sandwich.
I assume he being a hot dog.
I'm not sure who he is.
Yeah,
he is him.
You got to be more specific, Neil. You got to get our pronouns correct.
We're talking about all the food. Now I want a po' boy. I had one of the best po' boys I've ever had when I was down there in Raging Cajun country, by the way. So
I'm sure you did. Yeah.
You and I got to get down there to take in a game, whether it's an App State one or not. Doesn't matter. The food's
just for the food alone.
The journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
So our boys at App State, 2-1, travel up to Wyoming, who's also 2-1, and just came off a hell of a close game with the University of Texas.
Yeah.
I don't know how much confidence I had. If you remember correctly, I actually called App to lose this one before the season started.
Yeah, you did.
I think you went the other direction. But maybe we both flopped. I'm not really sure. What do you think going into this one here? It's only supposed to be a 3-point Wyoming favorite right now at this current moment.
Yeah, and I think Wyoming has the advantage being at home. I never want to pick against App State, but I can tell you this. If we're not tackling well, that's going to be a problem for us. So we got to straighten that out. We got to make some. We got to make some tackles. We can't keep giving up the big plays as much as we're doing. There's no reason why ECU should have been as close of a game as it was. I understand that ECU is coming up and they're starting to match people on talent and that kind of thing, and that's great. But talent-wise, they're not on our level yet, and we made them feel like they were. Because of the big plays that we were giving up. And Carolina, same way. Now Carolina's a little bit more evenly matched from a talent perspective, but still, you're breaking off 40 and 50-yard runs. That's not that we can't have that. So, I'm picking App because I'm thinking with my heart and not my head. Wyoming does have the advantage. They are going to be home. They do have a hell of a running game, which scares me. They got a great defense, big, giant offensive and defensive linemen. They are absolutely huge, which is what made that Texas game as close as it was because, this playing in our league, the difference is in those Power Five and Group of Five teams is the trenches, right? Colorado's finding that out the hard way. They'll find that out the hard way again, I think, next week against Oregon. It's up front is where the skill-wise talent, you can match that. But, if you can get to the quarterback and you can make life tough for them, and I think that's what Wyoming was able to do. So, anyway, I went the long way of saying I'm picking App, but I'm not happy about it.
Well, you can be happy about it, but just not confident, maybe.
Not confident. Maybe that's the word.
Not fully confident, anyway. How about that?
Sure.
Let's just say that. I was surprised by how that game went. Yeah, I was very surprised about that one. I'm going to flip it for where I went because simply Joey Aguilar. I mean, he had his little bit of a downer game, I would call it, against ECU, which wasn't even that bad, right? I mean, a few simple mistakes that he knows immediately when he did it. But I hear Sean Clark talk about how the kid just isn't phased, comes to the sideline very mature, knows it's just move on to the next series, the next play. Mm-hmm. You got to forget about that. It's over. He didn't beat himself up about it, and you could tell he didn't because he came back out and just performed the rest of the game. So I think he's kind of the X factor there. He can use his feet. He's got the accurate arm. I think it's hopefully something that will be on App's side as they go up there. But like you said, it ain't going to be easy.
No,
they're going to have to do some pushing around and use the speed to their advantage against some of these bigger, stronger guys because that's how they grow them up there in Wyoming.
Just insane, yeah. And like I said, I think if we can win the line of scrimmage, we can win this game. But I think the line of scrimmage is what kept Wyoming in this game against Texas. And obviously, again, there's the factor going into it. If you're Texas, we're better. We're going to dominate this team. You take a week off kind of deal. So you don't come into it giving them your best shot. So and I'm educated enough about football to understand that Texas did not put on their best game. I get that. However, there's only a certain amount of time into that game where you start to realize, all right, now these guys ain't come to play. Like it's time to turn it on. And when you can't turn that switch as quickly as you thought you could, you're not, that speaks to your opponent being able to sort of dictate how the game is flowing. And if you're giving them that level of confidence, against a team who's got nothing to lose in this game, I think it says a lot about who Wyoming is. So, like I said, winning the line of scrimmage is going to be key for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to show Neil's comment here. Did I get it?
We'll see what we really have on Saturday.
Yep. I showed it, and then I clicked it again. My computer's running slower, I guess, with all the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I agree. I think we really are going to see what we have Saturday. I think, obviously, besides Carolina, this will be the toughest test App has faced all season, which obviously it's only 4 games in, so it is what it is there. But jumping into the next one, a little bit of a rematch from last year. We got Troy going up against Western Kentucky for the second straight season. What do you see maybe playing out in this one? We know Troy's offense really didn't get a lot going on the ground last game. You see that change in this one against the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky.
I think they better. I think they better keep up with Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky is a high-flying offense, man. I mean, they can sling it all over the lot. And if they are not careful, this could be a runaway quickly. Western Carolina is not going to waste any time putting points up. They're not going to sit back and run the clock and chew things up. They're going to spread you out like they're doing here. And they're going to let that quarterback drop back and rip it. And I think that obviously he didn't on that play. But I think, if they're not able to really keep up with Western Kentucky's offense, it's going to be a long night or day.
You can't chase points against Western Kentucky. We saw that firsthand. Let me get no ads, no free ads.
No free ads, 50.
You can't be doing that against a team that's that high-powered air raid offense. You got another Helton that Troy's going to see. Wait, did they see Georgia? I don't think they see Georgia Southern this year. But if they do,
no.
the other side of conference there. But since we got this one playing now, we got Virginia Tech and another P5 matchup. Virginia Tech going up against Marshall. Now, this one's there in Huntington, West Virginia. Any chance Marshall pulls the upset there over Virginia Tech?
And you said they're at Virginia Tech, correct?
They're at Huntington. They're in West Virginia. Thundering Herd home game. So that could play to their advantage. I mean, you got former Marshall quarterback Grant Wells at the helm for Virginia Tech. A little bit of a storyline going into this one.
Yeah. I think there's going to be some backside motivation going there. I think, Virginia Tech's going to be kind of coming to his aid, wanting them to show who he is and who he was as a quarterback. I don't know that Marshall's going to have enough. Marshall hasn't really impressed me a lot this year. And again, they're 2-0, but I'm not super impressed by how they got to 2-0. That said, right. I'm certainly not impressed with Virginia Tech at all by any stretch. And even, the good folks down in Vegas aren't impressed by Virginia Tech either because they've got Marshall. The line is Marshall -5. So if I'm smart, I'll go with Vegas. But this really could be a pick'em game, to be quite honest.
I think you're right. I think this is a pick'em game. I mean, I don't think Marshall's been going full force yet this season. They haven't put it all together, great, powerful game yet. But they could. And this would be one hell of a game to do it in because it could be a P5 scalp. I mean, the crowd's probably going to be going nuts because they're going to want this one. So, I mean, the Jones going to be rocking. I want to pick Marshall so bad, and I guess since the money's on Marshall, the smart play is to stay with Marshall.
Those folks in Vegas know what they're talking about.
Yeah, but I think ultimately you're right, though. This is a flip a coin if you have to, but probably don't put any money on it. If you're the smart,
no. I'm not betting mortgage on it. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely not. So in next one, we've got Georgia Southern going up against Ball State. I don't think there's any reason to believe that this one should be close or hopefully all that interesting. But that is the matchup there. We know that they already took care of business there against UAB. Sorry, I was looking at something different as I'm talking about the highlights. So we'll go through that one and this one. We'll throw in ODU and Texas A&M Commerce. I don't believe you and I think either one of those will be too much of a game. Maybe we're not giving Ball State enough respect, but FCS, Texas A&M Commerce hasn't even won a game this year. Old Dominion's looked very good. Even though, it's weird. I mean, with how I feel about Old Dominion, their record's still only 1-2, but it doesn't feel like it should be.
I know it's a very good 1-2 as opposed to Virginia Tech's 1-2, who is not good.
Correct.
So and there's no moral victories. We talked about this, I think, last week or the week before. No moral victories in football. But if you're Old Dominion and the way you've lost the two games. Now, again, you talked about Wake Forest, coming back, but also Old Dominion not being able to do anything at all on offense. So there's that part. But there's some hope for sure for ODU, much more than I think for Virginia Tech. But like you said, Texas A&M Commerce and Ball State. I've got the Eagles. I've got ODU out the door.
Yep. Same here. So do I. We've got South Alabama going up against Central Michigan in this one. Oh, I didn't get this full screen. You're seeing all the stuff on the side there. But, South Alabama, Central Michigan, I mean, with how they just performed against Oklahoma State, I don't think this one's going to be much of a game either, especially this one being down there in Mobile. I don't know how much the heat and humidity is still a factor in Mobile. I'm guessing it's a little bit more than it is in Central Michigan. So I think
I would say about 10 to 15 degrees difference.
Yeah. So I think we can cover that one quite quickly. So this one's interesting because now we've got another conference matchup. We've got Southern Miss matching up against Arkansas State. Battle of the 1-2 teams, battle for kind of early basement spot to avoid the basement spot, I guess, over there on the west side. What do you think about either one of these teams fully righting the ship here?
I'm taking I'm taking Southern Miss, and I don't take them because they're going to fully right the ship. I still don't believe that they're putting everything together, but I think they have it more together than Arkansas State does. I think, defensively, we just talked about it. As a matter of fact, defensively, Southern Miss looked really good last week. And I think that that's going to carry over. Now they can just get that offense to match, which I think they will. I think this will be sort of the game they get picked up against Arkansas State. And it's a good game to do it against, conference game, and also a team that you should be able to beat. So, I'm taking Southern Miss, and it looks like Vegas is too.
Yep, I'd say so. I think the same thing about that one with the defense, the way it performed. I know that Tulane won the game kind of rather easily, I guess, in the end, but it didn't really feel that way. It felt like Southern Miss always kind of stood a chance. It not going to be like it had to have been big plays, right? Because they weren't getting the small stuff to set up the big play very often, but it was striking distance for most of that game. But yeah, the defense was the difference. But I think the defense could be the difference in a good way for them this week against Arkansas State. So I am going to agree with you there. And let's see here. Our next one, Nevada versus Texas State. Thoughts on San Marcos playing host there to the Wolfpack of Nevada in that one? Texas
State by 100. By 100.
Yeah.
I think Texas State is just light years ahead. They've put up such great football since the start of the season. Again, I know we're early. Know it's early in the year, but they've played some really good football. And I think Nevada's just not – they're not ready yet. They're not ready yet. And I think Texas State is, and they are really going to be able to exploit Nevada's – the middle of the field for Nevada is very weak. Their safeties give up a lot. And so I think attacking the middle of the field is really going to help, get that pass game off the ground. And quite honestly, I think Texas State can really take whatever they want in this game. I don't think Nevada has enough both offensively and defensively. I'm taking Texas State, again, far and away out the door, and I don't think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I mean, they played USC. This is Nevada, has played USC and Kansas. And so those two losses are not surprising. So you say, oh, okay, well, those could be not telling the full story here. They lost 33-6 to Idaho, who dropped back down to the FCS. So, yeah, I agree with you there. Texas State wins that one rather easily. TJ Finley goes off and just dismantles the Wolfpack. Maybe something similar in this next matchup. We got Louisiana going up against an 0-3 Buffalo team. Any thoughts on the Bulls? It looks like a respectable finish versus Wisconsin. It kept it a little closer than Georgia State or Georgia Southern did. Fordham, though, however, FCS Fordham, they lost to them by 3 points. And then they got beat by Liberty pretty handily. So I don't think the Bulls are coming in there with any real firepower unless you see anything differently than me on that one.
No, and I haven't watched a lot of Buffalo play this year. I know 0-3 and versus the teams that you just said. I don't have any reason to believe that they're going to give much of a fight. I will say this though: the over/under is 58.5 points. That's a lot of points. So Vegas seems to think that Buffalo, because the line's only 9.5. So Vegas seems to think that Buffalo can score a little bit. So we'll see. Which,
let me pull this back up. I'm not seeing a whole bunch of scores here that indicate that they can. I mean, they scored 37 against Fordham, but they did lose. Again, FCS defense. 27 against Liberty. Okay. 17 against Wisconsin. I don't know. I'm taking the under all damn day on that one. I mean, unless you think Louisiana's going to put up 50, I don't know.
I was going to say, unless Louisiana's going to put up 40 and the line's 10, I don't see it.
Well, here's an interesting one. The last one of the night, I believe it's the furthest game out west. 8 p.m. start on the east. So it's a 5 p.m. start there locally in Utah State, which is in Logan, Utah. James Madison's going to take them on. That's a big travel for them. Utah State has played number 25 Iowa, and they lost by only 10 points.
Okay.
They hammered Idaho State. Not going to get any points for that, but they did beat those guys by 50. And then they lost to what looks like a pretty respectable Air Force team, 39-21. So,
yeah,
I don't know what to make of this Utah State team, but I know that they've got a Sun Belt experienced coach at the helm. So what do you think going into this one? James Madison keeps it rolling after beating Troy, or did they stumble up and travel across the country to play Utah State here?
It's tough. It's tough for two reasons. You've got, like you said, Utah State's head coach has got some Sun Belt ties, but it's tough to have Sun Belt ties against a team who wasn't in the Sun Belt, right? JMU, they're new here, so they're knocking on the door. It's not a lot of game film on them, other than the first two games or first three games. I'm sorry. I think travel, it's part of it. It's a real thing. It's real life. I don't care how you look at it. Especially East Coast to West Coast. This is not a typical, let's go 4 or 5 hours and, or down the road or stay in the same time zone kind of deal. So I think that is going to affect James Madison. I think it does help, though, that it's an 8 p.m. East Coast time game, right?
Yes,
because it's just, essentially that's only 30 minutes past what you'd play a night game here on the East Coast. So I think that helps. And for that reason, I'm taking James Madison. Obviously, I'm always going to go for Sun Belt. But I just think James Madison has a lot on defense. And they got some stuff to prove, right? They want to come in, even though they won't be bowl eligible. I think they want to come in, make a statement, make some noise. They did a good job against Virginia. They've done it so far, at being 3-0. And I really would think that they want to make some noise coming into next year. And I think that they do that and keep the pace against Utah State.
Yeah, I want to say that I agree, but I'm going to take a look at what their game after this is. Okay, so they travel back from Utah State. I don't really think they're looking ahead, but if they are, they've got South Alabama coming to them in Harrisonburg, Virginia, the week after this. And the reason I'm looking that up, I don't think it's going to be a huge factor in this week at all.
Sure.
But this is kind of one of those things you say it's a little bit of maybe of a trap game. They've got the 3-0 start. They're feeling good. They got to travel across the country, as we've said. Mm-hmm. The time is good because that's a good point. I mean, we saw UCLA and Coastal Carolina play at 10:30 Eastern time. That's even later for Coastal players. Yeah. So this one is a little bit more advantageous on the time aspect. So maybe that kind of evens it out a little bit more. Man, this is tough for me. I said James Madison was going to stumble a little bit more this year, so I'm gonna pick this game. Maybe they lose this one and beat South Alabama next week. I'm not sure about that. I'm not confident at all in that. How about that? But I'll just throw that out there to go the other direction. To say that this is also their third straight road game. Not that Virginia is much of a road game for them, but yeah, they went on the road to Virginia. They went on the road to Troy, and now they're going to roll on the road again to Utah State. Maybe it's finally going to take its toll. But, yeah, I mean, like you said, defensively, they're much better off than I thought they'd be so far this season.
Absolutely.
But I guess that about wraps it up for the Sun Belt action. I guess at this point, we'll go over any extra points you got. I know you've got some thoughts and feelings on that Colorado State game, as just about everybody in the country did. But what lived up to expectations? I think over 9 million streams or views or watches on the game total. Craziness. What do you think about that one?
So I do think Coach Norville had his team ready to play. I did not think that would happen, given what the win-loss record has been with Colorado State, given the fact that the talent is obviously on Colorado's side with Shador and with Travis and with those guys. I was pleasantly surprised by how well Colorado State played. I was not happy about how late they kept me up. I thought it was going to be a blowout and I was going to be in bed by 12:30. That was in fact not the case. However, I was super pumped to watch the game. I came away thinking that number 4, I can't remember his name. I'm drawing a blank. Number 4 for Colorado State. That kid earned him some money. He earned him some money that night. He played really well. He was open every time he turned around. I think Colorado State's defense really held Shedeur in check all but that last drive and then into overtime. I don't know. He put a cape on. He turned into Tom Brady. I don't know what the hell happened. But Shedeur, I mean, he just went nuts the last few minutes of that game. So shout out to him. Deion having his guys ready. They didn't play well at all. They didn't. I don't think they. It's not a game that if you're Deion and if you're Colorado that you're proud of. However, the way you won speaks to resiliency and it speaks to your team's ability to overcome adversity. And I think that matters more than winning easily. Because there's two things. I mean, there's two ways that game could have gone, and it went the opposite way that we thought it was going to go. Thought it was going to be a blowout.
Right. Yeah.
But it says a lot about who you are as a team and your character being able to, to withstand that and really come back and win. So shout out to, like I said, to those guys in Colorado. I'm on the bandwagon. You can call me a bandwagon fan. You can call me whatever you want to call me. But I'm riding with Deion, greatest player who's ever existed in football ever. So.
Yeah, and it looks like Lewis Brown. Is that the name you're thinking of from Colorado State?
Yeah, the receiver.
Yeah, from Inglewood, California. Yep. 6'1", 190.
He turned into a monster. He's really good. He's really good. I will say too, there was some, as much as there were some highs in terms of how the game was, there was a low. And by low, number 11 for Colorado. Here's the thing. Was it a dirty? You can make a dirty play. You can make a bad decision without that defining who you are as an individual, right? So I think, I don't know the kid. He's probably a good kid. He, parents probably raised him the right way. I don't know. You're hype, right? You want to make a statement. It happens. You hit a guy after the whistle. You do a little bit extra. Those kinds of things happen. It was unfortunate what the outcome was for Travis Hunter. The outcome was fortunate or was unfortunate, but I don't think he's a bad person for what he did. I think it just was a bad act, and that shouldn't define him the rest of the season. He shouldn't have to live with that. And the death threats and all that stuff that he's getting, I think that's crazy. I think that's insane. Yeah. So we need to cut that out humans suck sometimes.
Yeah.
It's a game. At the end of the day, it's a game.
Yeah. I think it's because it was seen by so many people, but this isn't. Technically, I guess that hit's not any different from a defenseless guy trying to catch a punt and getting hammered before the ball ever gets there. It's dirty. They're dirty hits. Yeah. They're not necessary hits. It was completely avoidable. But yeah, death threats is kind of crazy. I think you saw afterward a couple of his own teammates gave him high fives. So it was definitely talked about.
Oh, it was planned.
Give a little shot.
It was planned. Yeah.
So everybody was okay with it on that team, obviously. But sure. I think both the responses were fine from both teams immediately. Obviously, Shedeur then later tries to poke eyes or something. Not great.
Yeah, that was crazy. That's not a good look.
I don't know if he really got him either.
He didn't get him, but he tried to, and I think that was a bad look as well. And there needs to be some reprimanding from Deion as it relates to that. You don't let your emotions get you to the point where you cost your team, because then you become bigger than the team, and that's not how this works. There was a incident with the Steelers, and Coach Tomlin, he pulled a guy to the side who drew a penalty, and he said, once you get you react, then it becomes about you and not about us. This is a we thing, not a me thing. Yep. And I think it's important that we, and it's hard, right? Because I've been in those situations, a guy tackles you and you're trying to get up and he's holding you down or he's grabbing your leg still. And it's extracurricular. It's hard not to react to that kind of stuff. So, there's a human element to it. We're all human beings. But you can't let your emotions get the best of you in that kind of situation, especially in that type of game when you should be winning and they have all the momentum. They got nothing to lose. A team with nothing to lose, I said it earlier, is a very scary team to play against. And I think Colorado got a taste of that with Colorado State. And I think, like I said, to Coach Norvell's credit, he had his guys ready to play, a little too ready, in my opinion. But they were ready to play. And I think that overall they gave us what we came for. Certainly worth the price of admission. Yeah,
I'm only disappointed because, unlike you, I did not get to stay awake for that game. I had traveled to Boone and back, and 6 hours of driving, man, it took it out of me sitting in the sun.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, I was very awake for the beginning. I loved how it started. The fans were there. I did miss Wheezy bringing him out to the field.
Yeah.
Someone told me about that, and I was like,
awesome.
I got to cut this thing on. I was getting home right around that time of the game starting. So, yeah, awesome. It's also awesome that like Colorado State's a G5. This isn't just like two power programs that are holding it above everyone's head.
Right.
This involved a team that doesn't ever really get recognition. So that's also a kind of a cool aspect of this that also fits into not necessarily the Sun Belt, but where the Sun Belt lies.
But what we represent. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not out of the realm that something this big could happen for one of our teams at some point as well. That's obviously the biggest one. You got any other topics you want to touch on while we?
Yeah. What in the hell is going on in Alabama? What's happening down there, man? Like what? You need to call Coach Saban. Is it time for him to hang it up? What is going on? Because this is not. I mean, they've gone through 3 quarterbacks and it's been 3 games.
Yep.
That's a huge no-no, first of all. And then he comes on and he said, all 3 guys have gotten a chance to play. Milroe showed some leadership on the sideline, and we're going to go with him because he's he's been most impressive. No, I think you go with what you got, and he's the best of a bad situation at quarterback. I don't know that Alabama's been this putrid, for lack of better terms, at the quarterback spot in a very long time. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the hell's going on. Right. Yeah. I don't know what's going on down there in Alabama, but they better fix it, and they better fix it fast, because if they lose to Ole Miss, that's it. There are no playoffs. They might be fighting to get an Outback Bowl. So they better figure it out, and they better right this ship quickly, because Milroe, I think too, Saban's got to call some plays that accentuate Milroe's ability to play quarterback, because he's a young kid. He's not the best thrower of the ball, right? None of them are great throwers of the ball, obviously, but he's a very good runner, and he's a big kid, and he has a big body. Get him out on the edges, give him half the field to read, right? Make it easy on him. I mean, they do this in the NFL all the time. This isn't hard. And he's smart. Saban's smart enough to know. Give your quarterback easy look. Give him easy read. Give him some high-low reads. Make him read the safety. Make it be one read. Get away from, get the ball out. If the ball can't come out, tuck it and run. It's easy. It's football. It's not rocket science. So we need to find out. He needs to figure out a way to put his quarterbacks in, specifically Milroe, in an advantageous situation. If not, it's going to be a long season.
Yeah. So along those lines, but a different realm, do you feel like this is it? Do you feel like Saban's like, whatever, I'm done after this season. That's why I don't care so much. It's hard for me to say like he sounds any different in his press conferences, because he always kind of sounds the same.
Because he always sounds, Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, we got to think about this. He hated the NFL, right? He left, like during the season, right? He just left the team. Was Dolphins he was with, right?
I thought it was the Browns with Belichick.
Oh, okay.
Was it the Browns with Belichick? I think it was,
I don't know. Okay. So he leaves the NFL, and he comes back to college, and he's kind of got what he wants. It's nice. It's how he expects it. It's not changing. And now here comes the NIL and collectives, and he's got to actively re-recruit kids that are already on his team to keep them from leaving. He's got to manage kids getting money. He apparently has bought a home in Jupiter, Florida. Is this the set sail? You think this might be it for him?
I don't know that this season is it, but the writing's on the wall. It's the times are changing, and the old guard that's not what's going to drive this. I mean, you've got guys like Prime that are coming in and shaping or reshaping the way college football looks, right? He's changing the game, and NIL has changed the game, and it made it so that these powerhouses can't just recruit based on their name, right? Like, you don't get to sit in my living room now and just say, I'm Alabama, come play football for me. You don't get to do that anymore. Now Texas has that oil money, right? Texas Tech has that oil money. Louisiana has money. USC has money. All of these teams now there's an ability to recruit now based on the financial gain, which it should have been anyway, in my opinion, because you can't make, $500 million off a kid's name, or $500 million off of a team, and they see no dime of it. So I think that in itself, and that's a different conversation for another day. We've already talked about it. But I think that it levels the playing field for these P5 schools. And Saban is starting to see that, and it's kind of ticking him off a little bit. And, he was – and, Dabo Swinney, he's another example of that, losing to Duke.
Yeah.
That goes to show him that the talent is starting to stretch out now. People are going in different places because it's not just the jersey you're wearing now. It's also what can you do for me and my family, put money in my pocket, talking about some kids that have come from some hard times, and they need that quick, they need that quick come up. And who's going to give it to them, matters. So, I think it writings on the wall. I don't know if it's this year, but I think soon Saban's out the door. He's going to have to be. He can't keep up.
Yeah. No. And I don't think he wants to. I think, like we said, that
he's done enough.
Yeah, absolutely. He doesn't really need to prove anything. He can leave today or tomorrow morning. And his thing, okay, Neil has proven me correct, TJ.
Okay.
I was right.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought he was with Bill. Wasn't it? But at some point he was with Bill and down there or up there with Cleveland, I thought. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Oh, no, he was definitely on staff there for sure. But, hey, look, when it comes to football, if I can get, one thing right over you, then I'm on cloud 9, baby. I'm feeling good. So I'll take it.
You got it tonight.
It's like meaningless trivia because no one cares where he was, really. But,
Right.
We'll take it out. I'll take it, some points for that one. Oh, man.
Sure.
So anything else that you want to touch on? Any huge matchups this week that are not Sunbelt related that you're looking forward to? Obviously, I know there's a lot of ranked ones, but off the top of my head,
I think it's going to be a great week. I think Notre Dame and
that's right. That's Ohio State.
Yeah, Notre Dame, Ohio State. They haven't played each other, I think, since 2017 or something like that. So that's going to be a fun one to watch. I think, like I said, Mississippi, Ole Miss, Alabama is going to be great. UCLA and Utah, I'm kind of anxious to see how that one plays out. I don't know how good Utah is, but I also don't know how good UCLA is yet. So, that'll let me know a few things. And I hope Florida State beats Clemson like a drum. I hope they beat the absolute brakes off Clemson.
Do you think that'll happen after last week's struggle against Boston College, though?
Yeah, I think it has to happen because they got to bounce back. Because there's two things working with them now in college football. It's not just winning; it's how you win. So winning is one thing. The second thing is how did they? What did that win look like? They know they didn't play well enough against Boston College, and you're going to have those kinds of games, right? Those games are going to happen. We played. I keep going back to my playing days at App State. Every single time we played Wofford, it was close. We knew we were better than them. We knew it beyond a shadow of a doubt. Wasn't close. Talent wasn't even whatever. But they were just one of those teams that they kept scratching and clawing, and those are kind of teams that had ultimately they're going to keep fighting. And I think Boston College showed Florida State what it's like to not give in. So,
and I think that's part of the appeal to me that just makes me love college football more than the NFL is you're exactly right. It's how you win. There's polls. The polls matter. You can't just have a winning record. You've got to prove it more ways than one. So I'll end with this one then because we've talked about this and it's important. It's a big matchup. It's also a ranked matchup. Colorado, do they keep it going against Oregon or do they finally lose their first game of the season?
I think they lose this one, and for a couple reasons. I think Oregon has built I think Oregon has built up front. I don't know that Colorado can really stay with them line of scrimmage wise, and I think that's where they'll lose the game. Ultimately, I hope I'm wrong. I want to be wrong. I so want to be wrong, but I think too we've been robbed of Travis Hunter for this game, and for that matter, for the next couple weeks. And I think him matching up against Oregon's best receiver and SC's best receiver, I think that's going to matter. I think it matters more not having Travis Hunter on defense than it does on offense. Prime's got a lot of good. They can do it by committee on offense. They've got Horn. They've got I can't remember all the kids' names, but they've got a lot of good receivers. And I think Travis Hunter just added to that as the best athlete, really, in my opinion, in college football. True athlete, not best player, but for best true athlete in college football, I think Travis Hunter is. And I think taking him off the field certainly hurts their chances. I don't know that they would have won with him, but I certainly don't think they can win without him.
their chances greatly improved with him. Xavier Weaver is actually the leading receiver for Colorado.
Weaver,
That's the kid. Yeah. So they still have him. They'll still stand, a chance with him out there at the wideout position because he's over 300, or he's at 386 yards, 2 touchdowns. It feels weird. He's only got 2 touchdowns. I guess Dylan Edwards is the running backs actually got 3. But I mean, it feels like Weaver's catching a lot of big time passes. He's
more than that. Shador's throwing the touchdown to damn near every receiver every game. So he's spreading the ball out.
Definitely spreading the ball out. So no matter what, it's going to be another good one to tune into. That's for sure. Yeah. Deion's got his guys ready and pumped. I'm sure the motivation. We'll see the videos soon about what he's focusing on this week. They're
already They're playing today. They was playing Oregon's fight song at practice. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You know that all too well. That was what was done before the Michigan game to you guys, right?
We heard it every day, every practice, every camp, the whole deal. I knew it by heart, and I hated it, and I still hate it.
All right. Well, we'll end with Neil's comment because we both agree with that, and we appreciate you for following along and commenting and be a part of the show, Neil. Thank you very much, and absolutely go Apps. We will see you guys next time.